All right, and so now we are going to discuss color and detail. This is a photo that has been taken for one of my clients, Burberry, some architecture photography. Normally, I would these would be straight lines all the way across in front, but they like their stuff shot at a weird angle for some reason. That's them. You run into clients like that from time to time where they like weird angles, and this is a case of they like weird angles. So, but I wanted to show you all this photo so that you can use it. Excuse me. So that you're able to use it, and you can kind of see. We see here I've already been through the basic panel and got everything in order. So we're going to close that because we're not going to go back to that right now. We're going to go into the color. So I want you all to see the use of the color panel. All right, so in this case, the most prominent color you would probably see would be orange and red. So we're going to show you all just how strong this panel can be when it comes to manipulating the photo. So we're going to do a slider. And this video won't be as long as the others because it's relatively contained the color and detail. You see here what happens if you move your slider more towards the pinkish side, and if we go more to the yellow, we see that things begin to look faded. So this is where you have to be very careful when you're using your color panel, and you also want to use the color that you are looking to retouch. So but you have to be very careful because it affects all the color. So if it's orange and there's a lot of orange in the photo, it's going to affect that too. So you have to be very careful. This is why you need to color balance your photos when you are doing your photography. If you ever run into a situation where you think you went too far, you went too crazy with your slider, you want to start over, just go into that box, click on 0, and it takes you right back. So we're back to where we started. This is what the photo actually looked like. Well, this is what the photo looked like when I took it. This is what the client wanted. So a lot of times it's really down to it. See, this photo here is a little bit of dark. This photo, the whites are more pronounced. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to use the luminance. The luminance is going to bring in the detail here. And you see here, that is way too messy. So that's something that you don't want to do here. So we go 0, take it back to where it was, and then let's flip our colors and go to red. And let's do the same thing here. You see the red now, the red is much more pronounced, and now it's just pretty much mudded up. And this is the power of the color slider. A lot of times I use the color slider if I'm in a jam. I don't use it that much. I probably say I use this slider probably about 15%. Maybe not even 15%. I'd say probably I'd say anywhere from 7 to 10% of the time. Now this next panel I do use a lot of. This is actually one of my favorite panels. This is the detail panel. This is what I call the meat and potatoes of Lightroom. This is the unsung hero of Lightroom, and I'll show you why in just a second. So the sharpening tool is going to put everything in focus for you. And we're going to go through a couple of tricks too as well as I do this. One of the first tricks is you want to hold down your Alt key, and you'll see reset sharpening as you do it. You hold down Alt. This is how you know you're doing it right. When you see that pop up, you hold the Alt key down, and then you're going to press, and you're going to use your slider, and you're going to look in here, look in this box here, and you'll see, once you do that, and you'll see the artifacts. That means that you've over sharpened the photo. This is what an over sharpened photo looks like. It's a bunch of noise, mudded up, and it's a mess. You never want to do that. So what I always recommend people to do, and when you do sharpening, you usually want to go to about maybe 5, 8, or 10. In this case, we're going to go to 10. Well, in this case 11. I'll just go to 8. We go to 8, and then leave these alone. You never want to touch radius and detail. Just leave those alone. Leave those alone. But here comes my favorite tool, the masking tool. You're going to press and hold. Same thing, Alt, and press your dot, and you're going to slide. And what this does is it creates the detail within the photo that is unseen, and you have a photo that stands out really, really good. Really, really good. We're going to go back to the photo we used in last lesson here, and we're going to apply this same technique. Because I shoot with the medium format camera, my photos are already typically sharp, but I'm going to, just for learning purposes, I'm going to crank it up just a tad here. I'm going to go, not 2, I'm going to leave it at 5, because anything else is going to get really wild. So I'm going to use that masking tool I just showed you all, and I'm going to do it the same thing. Alt and slide, and look what we have. Look, I want you to look at the detail in this photo. This is all of the stuff that's unseen to the eye. And there we go. So let's do a comparison here. And now you see the image on the right is much more sharper, vibrant, and in color, and it provides more detail than the image on the left. This is the importance of the detail panel. This is why I said this is probably one of the best panels here in Lightroom. But this is something that you need to play with and get comfortable with, especially if you're doing architecture photography and landscapes. So I don't know if I've got any landscapes photos in here on this one. I don't think I do. Well, actually, yes, I do. We can use this. We can use this one. This is a photo I was working on last week here. And we'll go over the next lesson. We'll go over these two panels, which will be lens corrections and transform, so that you can kind of see exactly how those work. And then we'll finish it off with just a simple video on effects. All right, and so let's do the sharpening here. We're gonna do a slight sharpening here. We're gonna go to about 3 or 4 here, and we're gonna do masking here as well. And here you go. So we see the detail within the photo. You see how everything is there within the photo. We're going to just go crank it up as far as we can, and I'll let you see. Now, you see the comparison in the two? You see the sharpness, you see the grass. We can look right here in the grass, and we see the sharpness is much more pronounced over here. So in this case, cranking it up is not a bad thing versus cranking it up with this. So this provides you with all of the sharpness that you would look for in the photo. So we look at here in the grass, and we see how pronounced it is. And this is why I said there are certain tools that can just create a dynamic look in your photos, and the masking tool inside of the detail panel does so. So I would recommend you go out and take some pictures of maybe a lake, landfall, landscape, and come back in, and then use your color effects. So we'll use color. Let's go into the color panel, and then let's say if we want this to take out a little bit of this green, not get some of this brightness out of it, and desaturate it, you just pull back a little bit, and then you can also change the color of the grass just by moving the slider. So you can have more of a fall look. And you can, I would say that's unnatural, but this is more of a natural look right here. And that's pretty much about it in this panel. The noise panel is not so pronounced unless you are taking high. I would say I don't have any photos in here of high ISO. No, I don't. I don't have any photos of high ISO, like a wedding. You would probably use this kind of stuff at a wedding. So let me see if I have one here. Nope, don't have one in here as well. No. Yeah, I don't have one. Wait a minute. I might actually do have one. Let's see. Yep. All right, here's one. Classic example. So for those wondering what noise reduction does, is it tends to, if you look, I'm not sure how good this is going to show up on your screen or not, but it smooths out some of the noise in photos. And so what you have to do here is you have to kind of play with your panel, and if you notice, it'll kind of go out a little bit. But it's one of those things where it's really, really iffy. And then if you do it too much, you'll over smooth your photos and then they'll look like mannequins, and you don't want that. So, all right, well, with this video, that covers the usage of the detail panel. Next video, we will discuss transforming effects, but before I leave this video, I do want to show you all this. I just noticed something that would be a good use for you all. Let's see if I use it on this one here. Let's see, what's the transform panel here? Let's see here, lens corrections. So we'll use it on this photo here. So sometimes with lens correction, all this does is basically, if you photograph with a photo and you may need to get you may have some pinching in here on corners, especially if you shoot with wide angle. You just simply pick your camera lens, and in my case it's been a Tamron, and I think it's because I used a yeah, it's not going to pull because I used a medium format lens. But it just goes to show you, just different, just kind of lines your photo up properly with what you would see in that lens. So this is, sometimes I use this, sometimes I don't. I use it more or less in architecture photography. So like in the Burberry photo here, as you see, I already have it checked, and it's because I use the Canon 1740 lens, and that just kind of gives you an idea of what happens there. So you're going to use that more in architecture photography than you will in anything else. So, all right, next video we'll be discussing transform and effects, and then we'll be wrapping it up here in Lightroom. All right, thank you for watching this video. Make sure that you're checking out the announcement section so that you don't miss any announcements that are happening in class. Make sure that you're getting your assignments turned in on time. Remember, no late work. Also, make sure that you are participating in our online discussions. Thank you. Have a great day. Hope you enjoyed it. Go out, take some pictures, have some fun while you learn, and